Inman, Brian Wilson, Mary Catherine Ham, today's newsmakers, and you, the Morning Majority. 105.9 FM and AM 630. WMAL.
It is 6:37 on the Morning Majority. On the phone is all-round smart guy Jim Pethokoukis, who helps us understand things that are complicated, that are going on in the world, have to do with money and other stuff. Hey, Jim, how are you?
Hey, how you doing today?
It's good to have you on. So let's just do a quick thing. Gas prices. Is this something that is going to be a big political issue in your mind?
It's amazing. You know, people take all these polls. There's all these complicated forecasting models. But if you really look at like gas prices and put them on a chart with presidential approval ratings, it's like they move almost in lockstep. Perhaps that's really the only thing that matters is gasoline prices.
Yeah.
Forget unemployment. No, it's just gas prices. It is amazing, and I would expect if prices keep going up, that it's going to take a chunk out of the president's popularity.
There's some speculation that some people have said that, hey, you know, normally we get this spike in the springtime, but now we're getting it a little bit early this year for whatever reason, maybe the mild weather or the fact that they've switched over to the blends earlier this year than they have in the past. Is that a possibility in your mind that we're just seeing the spike a little bit earlier this year compared to previous years?
Maybe, but remember we had gas back in 2008 before the recession, you know, really sunk its teeth in. You had high gas prices, and then we had this massive global recession. Energy prices collapse, and now slowly the U.S. economy and the global economy is sort of slowly recovering, and energy prices are going back up. Remember, back in 2008, people were saying, "Listen, the era of cheap energy is over. The era of cheap gas." So now we're sort of back to where we were in 2008. We're getting higher energy prices.
Do you think that Romney, there have been rumblings that he's going to come out with some sort of like interesting tax reform? Do you think that's actually beyond the 59-point plan or whatever it is that could make a splash? Do you think he's on the road to doing that?
Well, remember that this is what brought Republican Party really back to preeminence in this country was the tax issue. Right. They figured out how to talk about taxes. We had big tax cuts, and that has sort of been the number one issue of the modern Republican Party. And Mitt Romney came out with a tax plan that was really very boring. It didn't do much. It was about the same as his plan in 2008, which is really pretty boring. Most of it is just, you know, keeping the Bush tax cuts, and he, you know, do a few other things. So that's how he's going to like reboot his campaign with this giant new economic plan, tax plan he's supposed to announce the 24th. I don't think it's going to end up looking anywhere near as, you know. Doesn't mean it's bad, but I don't think it's going to look as eye-popping as, you know, Newt Gingrich with a 15% flat tax or the 999 plan. I'm not sure. I think it'll look better than what he currently has. I'm not sure that by itself is going to get. It would help. It's going to get conservatives especially excited about his campaign.
And why not go bold when there is sort of a consensus, even with a lot of Democrats, that there needs to be broad reform? Sure, they might not agree with you on it. Go a little bold. He's gone bold in revamping companies before. Why not in this case?
Well, there's sort of bold by what Washington would consider bold,
right.
And then there's bold what the Republican primary consider bold. Remember, you have Newt Gingrich wants to have a 15% flat tax. You have Ron Paul, who has suggested not even having an income tax. So for Mitt Romney to say, you know what, I want to lower the top rate from 35 to 28, have fewer all of which by Washington standards would be like phenomenal, incredible. By primary standards, it looks very timid.
How much of the problem we have right now, is it with taxes or is it with spending? I mean, if you kept the status quo for taxes right now and you actually cut the spending, wouldn't that have as much of an economic stimulus impact as if you actually, you know, switched or made some changes to the tax code?
Well, listen, I think the tax code is a huge drag on the economy right now. And I think if you want to deal with the economy going forward, if you want to deal with the debt problem, you need faster economic growth. There's no doubt that if you had a radically revamped tax system, not even tax cuts per se, but kind of changing,
right,
you know, what's taxed and what's not taxed, you could get a lot higher economic growth. I think you actually could find plenty of economists, not just on the right, who think that, but left of center as well.
Take a look at the market for me. Tell me what you think is going on there, because we are poised when the market opens today. I think the Dow is just 50 points short of the 13,000 mark. How important is that as a psychological barrier to cross?
Well, I'm not a big believer in the psychological barrier, but I think the market reflects both less fear that the U.S. is about to go into recession. There was a lot of fear about that 6 months ago. I think it's somewhat more confident, though I think the confidence is very misplaced about what's going on with Greece and Europe. China's still growing. And remember, a lot of the U.S. stock market is also dependent not just on growth here, but growth overseas, growth in Asia. So it's up that people feel a little bit better. But again, you can obviously have a rising stock market and have a horrific unemployment situation in the United States, which is exactly the case.
Are you bearish or bullish about the future of the stock market?
Well, in long term, I'm always.
Long term. How about short term?
The stock market's a bet on the economy and global growth. Long term. Now I don't know how long that's going to be.
Right. let me put it this way:
I'm not a day trader, though.
Can you have a rising stock market with rising gas prices? I mean, at this point, we're to $4 a gallon. I mean, can that?
Well, what's interesting? Remember that last time it got over $4 a gallon, and remember, and as oil began to creep above, 105, 110, a lot the airline stocks plummeted. People said airlines can't make a buck in that kind of environment. So we'll see if anything's different, 4 years later, how well the U.S. economy and the global economy should operate. Not just if gas prices are $4, but if oil keeps going up. And remember, we also have the possibility of a Mideast war, which would send gas prices and oil